Yeah.
These are self-pay assignments. We are often paid at least half or the whole thing up front. So it's a good cash flow mechanism as well, too. It's a good service for you to do. And real estate professionals are faced with homes that have cigarette smoke odor that need to be sold. We've attended to many of these, and we're a friend of realtors. We know how to go in and fix this, and you'll know how to do it too. And that's the whole intention.
Welcome to the Mitigation Handbook Podcast. I'm here as always with Bob Jordan. Bob, how you doing today?
Pretty well. We're enjoying some Chamber of Commerce weather out here in the Seattle area. Blue skies, high 70s, low 80s. It's really nice.
Hi, and you have an announcement to make today.
Well, very recently I decided, even as a part of this podcast, just thinking on subjects that I wanted to write in detail on specific services that any restoration company does. So I've begun a new series called the Understanding Restoration series. And I've identified 6 subjects that I will produce publish-worthy papers on, papers that are peer-reviewed. And the topics that have been identified as my first 6 are cigarette smoke odor. So understanding cigarette smoke odor restoration. Then I'll have one on understanding fire and smoke restoration. And I'll have one on mold and one on water damage and one on hoarding and one on odor.
Okay.
Now,
Damn it.
Now, a number of people that are coming into the restoration space are like carpet cleaning companies, franchises or independents, plumbing companies, franchises or independents, and they're pretty much focusing on water because that's
what they know.
Kind of where they're at.
Yeah.
But for the restoration professional, the person who offers multiple services, you need to know how to do these. And some of these that I've listed are specialties. And our topic today will be cigarette smoke odor. And I'm going to present on that. And of course, we'll have more to say as we go. But this is a specialty service that, unless you're shared with how to do it, you don't know how to do it.
Yeah. And these papers will be available, right? Someone can contact you or can get them for free, right? These are freely available?
They are. So on the website, the mitigationhandbook.com, there's a contact page up at the top. Just click that, fill in the blanks, follow the bouncing ball, and we will send it right out to you. Yeah. Wonderful. And there's no charge for this. All of these papers are going to eventually wind up in the new version of the Mitigation Handbook. We have our first version out. It's selling well. We've sold some 120 copies. We have it in hardback and ebook. And, there's people across the country are enjoying it. And we wrote it so people can get busy making money.
We had Sal on. Sorry to interrupt you, but we had our Sal on our previous episode, and he just raved about it. Actually, he had wished he had got that book earlier. He got it early enough, but he had wished he got it from the very beginning. So, anyone I've talked to that has referred to that book finds it as a real treasure, a real resource.
Yeah, well, we're certainly glad for that, and that's why we wrote it for the new owner, for the new technician. Or even for someone who's been in for 15 years, but like, hey, we've never done cigarette smoke odor before. How do we do it? And we'll show you how to do it.
That's great. Okay. So the first one is cigarette smoke and odor. Is that right? Cigarette smoke odor.
Yes. Understanding cigarette smoke odor removal. So this is a popular paper this is a popular topic with real estate professionals. Now, let me share some of the good things about this paper, Understanding Cigarette Smoke Restoration. Is these are self-pay, private pay assignments. So these are not insurance. Insurance comes with all that insurance comes with, estimates, proving that you did what you did, proper documentation, and then the time that it takes from when you do the work until when you get paid. Everybody's familiar with that.
Yeah.
These are self-pay assignments. We are often paid at least half or the whole thing up front. So it's a good cash flow mechanism as well, too. It's a good service for you to do. And real estate professionals are faced with homes that have cigarette smoke odor that need to be sold. We've attended to many of these, and we're a friend of realtors. We know how to go in and fix this, and you'll know how to do it too. And that's the whole intention. The paper follows all of the papers in the restoration, Understanding Restoration series are going to begin with the problem. We'll talk about the engineering behind what we're facing. We'll talk about the chemistry that we're using. We will have field application instructions and methods and processes, and then we'll follow it up at the end with practical lessons.
And all of your papers follow that format. That's your system for all of the understanding papers. Is that correct?
They will.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
That is correct. So it's background and what's going on, why it is that we're doing what we're doing. Not just follow this formula and, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, because any situation is going to have variables that are going to come out at you. So if you understand the why, the what, the how, then when you're doing it, you'll have that understanding that should increase your success opportunity and efficiency opportunity.
Great. Okay, great. Oh, are we getting into it?
Sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So all of my papers also begin with an opening that says, "Why this paper?"
Okay.
So
good.
So let me tell you why we wrote this paper. So early in my ownership of a restoration company, we were called to remove cigarette smoke odor from a small 2-bedroom condominium. The new owner had recently purchased a unit, and it smelled like cigarette smoke odor. And I contacted my franchise because nobody has any training on this, because it's so specialized.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you will always get training on water, you might get
water,
some fire
mold. Yeah.
Water, mold, and fire are the 3 staples.
Got it.
Okay. Anything beyond that, biohazard, hoarding, cigarette smoke odor, basic odors, these are specialty items, and you're pretty much left to yourself to figure out how to do it. Well, I was a new owner, and here we are. We have this new job. We called into the franchise. One of the tech guys there says, "Hey, we just came across a new product. They're going to be at our convention. Here's a good phone number." We thought, super, we got it figured out. We know what we're going to do. Isn't it wonderful being a part of a franchise? You get to call in, you get to get help. And this is why we did it. So we order the stuff, we get it right away. And we go in and we do the work, finish everything, buttoned it up. We thought, man, this is great. The guy paid with a credit card on the spot. We had a little credit card reader, and I'm thinking, what a businessman I am. And boy, this is just going to be cool. Well, a few days later, he calls me.
Oh, no.
And he says, Bob, I I think we still have some odor. And he says, I wasn't sure if it was just me, but I had friends come over and they kind of pointed it out
smelled it too.
without me saying anything. I says, we'll come back and we'll do it again. I did not understand the mechanism of what was going on. I didn't understand, I'm a licensed engineer. I got a chemistry degree and I didn't know this stuff and nobody taught me this stuff. So we come back and just do again the same process, just over and over and over. And finally, we got it reasonable enough. Did I make any money on that one? Probably not.
You learned a lot.
But I learned a lot, yes. Yeah. And from that time frame on, we were paying smart attention. We had gone to conventions. I've been to all 10 of the conventions that I was eligible to go to with the franchise that I'm a part of, and they're always outstanding.
Yeah.
And I've been to the local regional conventions. And, you've got vendors there. They've got new equipment. They've got new chemistry. They've got supplies. They've got industry experts that are there. Good talks are going on. And that's where I started learning about stuff. And so all of that learning brings us to where we're at, because I don't want you, the new owner, having to go through what I went through. I've already done it. I've already figured it out. You don't have to figure it out. But the paper is going to give you the why, the engineering, the chemistry, the actual field applications, and then some practical notes. Now, is this the be all, end all, know everything, do everything? Well, of course, you guys understand that. Nobody can do that. But I'm going to get you so far down the road that with your smarts, you will be able to adjust to field conditions with the understanding you're going to have from this paper and all 6 papers that I have scheduled to produce.
That's great.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So let's dash on. So understanding smoke restoration. So the outline of the paper is, we've got this in 4 parts. So part 1 is understanding the challenge. Okay. What is the challenge with cigarette smoke odor? Well, it goes everywhere, right? It's in the ducts, it's in the walls, it's in the pores. So we're understanding the challenge. And then we talk about the science behind smoke restoration. Microscopic structure, adsorption versus absorption, mass transfer and runoff, engineering observations. Now, this isn't a paper that's over anybody's heads, okay? Anybody who wants to dig deeper into it, I give you some references to do so. But this is a paper, and all my papers are going to be intended to be used by the everyday owner who is typically an above average guy in initiative and attention to detail and attitude. Okay. So that kind of a person isn't going to have any problem with the papers that I'm writing. So we'll talk about the chemistry of smoke odor, foaming, dwell time, surfactants and wetting, and we'll explain what's going on. And then the 4th part is the field application, foaming, agitation, microfiber removal, all of these things, like evaluate, restore, preserve. So these are all things that we're going to talk about in the paper, and I'm just going to hit the high points as we go through this podcast today. I have a number of definitions in the paper, just terms for you to know. You're not going to be telling everybody about it. It's just so that you understand all of this. This is all part of the physical world. Now, I spent 20 years as an aerospace engineer, as a materials science expert. I ran a chemistry lab for 6 years in an industrial capacity. We did failure analysis. I understand the world of materials.
Yeah.
And I think I can communicate it. And so that's what these papers have going into them. And then I also have them peer reviewed by at least 4 persons who are IICRC, either currently a part of that organization or have been for many years. Now, this isn't an IICRC endorsed paper, but I've had people at that level looking at it. I'm not just passing it on to, mom and saying, hey, mom, what do you think of my paper? Oh, Bobby, I think that's really nice. Okay, so it's been peer reviewed? No. I send it to scientists and people with a deep background in this, in the world that we're in. So
are those people, are they listed on the paper? Are they the official reviewers? Do we want to show them or no?
I thought about it. One day, maybe.
One day, not yet. Maybe once you finish the set or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll ask them if they would be okay with that.
Okay.
But as it is right now, in fact, on the mold paper, I've actually asked one of those gentlemen if he would like to be a co-author with me, because he's an absolute expert. And I'm probably going to get a lot of stuff from him.
Okay.
And it's like, well, you know what? Maybe I should include him as a co-author.
Yeah. Okay.
But on this one, it's, I wrote this one.
You're the author. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So in the 4 parts, the first part is understanding the restoration challenge. So what do you do when you walk into the room? Ceilings are affected, walls are affected, drapes, cabinets, HVAC returns, furniture, upholstery. I mean, when I grew up, my parents, especially my mom, everybody was a heavy smoker, just the way it was. And smoke goes everywhere.
Right.
Now, even a wall can look clean, but when we start putting our chemistry on it and foaming it, then you start seeing these brown streaks running down. And we have ample pictures of this.
Yes, I saw some of those pictures in your paper. Yeah.
Yeah. So where did it come from? So these are all things that we have, and we talk about a couple of facts about cigarettes themselves. I'll just skip through that. One of the worst things that can be done to a home is painting over cigarette smoke damage.
Yeah, you've mentioned that before. Yeah. Why is that? What are you doing when you're painting over it?
So paint is permeable. So odor particles are like uber teeny, very small. A human hair, those of you who have it, the hair on your head is,
you wouldn't know,
it's like 70 microns in diameter. Microns is a millionth of a meter, and it's a unit of measure for things that are really small. So 70 microns in diameter.
Yeah.
Odor particles that you can detect are even under 1 micron. So paint on a surface. So here's our wall, here's our damage, and then here's the paint.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the paint, odor can permeate through the paint and go into the airspace, and that's what you smell. But this paint keeps you from spraying
getting to the
onto
core problem.
And getting to, it's enough of a barrier. And that happened on our very first job. They had painted over it and we didn't know it. Eventually we knew it, but these are all things that you need to understand going into it.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the nature of cigarette smoke and third-hand smoke contamination and just a lot of things that are interesting about smoke and odor, and really what is the problem that we're facing. Porous materials, fabrics, carpets, draperies, fabric, furniture. These are all things that can absorb odor, and this odor comes back out, but it's hard to get it out in one shot.
Yeah.
And there's other means of doing that, but our method is to remove those.
So that's the challenge.
Okay.
That's the challenge that you're
Yes.
facing as a
That's right.
mediator.
Yes. Yes. So then part 2 is where we talk about the science behind smoke restoration. So I show cross sections of materials and I show their porous nature. Hard plastic is not porous, but other materials, organic materials, are, woods, paints, primers, drywall. These are all things that are porous. And so you can imagine like the surface of the moon with all of the craters. Okay. That, if you looked at a crater as a pore, something can get into the pore and you wipe across it and you're only getting what's on the main surface, but below level stays there. Okay.
Gotcha.
This is kind of like the pores in the materials. Now, these little microscopic odor particles, the longer term the damage, like we've done homes that have been smoke odor damaged for 30 years. We just finished one, just a matter of a handful of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was one of the worst places we'd been to. I think this lady did nothing but sit and smoke cigarettes all day long, and that's all she did. You could actually see the staining on the walls itself. Now, you can have a cigarette odor job, and you really can't tell by looking at the surface, but you can still smell it.
Right.
This one, you could see it, and you could smell it. And
so it goes deep.
Yes.
It's well permeated throughout the building. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have a great sense of smell personally as an individual, but I could smell it. So I knew it was bad. And so paint is porous as well.
Yeah.
So odor can get into the pores of the paint and it just sits in there. And if you try to scrub it, how many times I've heard people say, yeah, we were trying to scrub it with TSP and we were using vinegar and water and gee, it just doesn't seem to be working. Well, understood. And we're going to get to that in part 4. Okay. There's adsorption versus absorption. Adsorption is where it clings to the surface. Absorption is where it's going into the material. Okay. And we have text on this. And, I got a paragraph or 2 on some of these terms. If you read it and you go, yeah, I get it, and that's fine, and you move on. If you're not really clear, anybody knows these days how to, access more information quickly on a browser. And you should spend some time with this paper and don't just read it one time in one sitting and glance through it and that's the end of it. It is meant to be a permanent resource and it's meant to be used when you need it. And that's what we call the book, the Mitigation Handbook. I've got a lot of other handbooks. I've got Handbook of Mechanical Engineering. I've got handbooks of chemistry and physics. I've got handbooks of electrical engineering. All of these handbooks aren't books that you just sit down and read a bunch of stories and, gee, wasn't that nice? Handbooks are to be used when you need them. So when you're doing a cigarette smoke odor job, then you go to my chapter on odor control and you reread what you've already studied. You get refreshed with it. Ideally, you've got the materials and equipment to do the job, and we share how to get all of that. And then you go out and you successfully do the work. Okay, moving on. When you start to clean a damaged wall, when you first apply your chemistry, foaming it on, you're going to get a lot of brown stuff coming down. And it should make sense that the more you do it, the less brown's going to come out. Okay. But you can't clean these walls for, 6, 6 days, eight
Mm.
8 cycles a day, and stuff will continue to come out. So we will talk about that, but you will get the most of it on the first hit, which would make the most sense. And then you're going to get a lot on the second hit. And we typically look for 2 cycles.
2 cycles. That's usually sufficient to get the odor.
It typically is. If it's especially bad in some areas, you may want to do a third, but I wouldn't really go further than that.
Mm-hmm.
Does it get every single speck out? No, and it never will. But will it get it out sufficient to where the person doesn't smell it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the goal. It's also the goal because sometimes people want to paint over or paint after we're done. And that's fine. We have now prepared the surface for painting.
Got it.
And that works really well. On this job that I was at, so we worked really hard, and I spent time there too, working in the field, which is something that I still insist that I do from time to time, especially on specialty jobs, because I want to study and see what's going on and draw more conclusions. And we completed the work, and a couple weeks later, I had occasion to go back just to give some advice on something. And I kind of a little bit nervous about going in because I didn't want to detect odor. And I walked in and I couldn't smell anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady and her son could not smell anything either.
Well, it had to feel great. I was going to say, it had to feel like you just did a great service to them.
Yeah, we felt really good about that. And that's why I want everybody who's in the sound of our voice and friends of people that are in the sound of our voice to know that there's a great way to remove cigarette smoke odor, and that you can learn this and you can implement it and you can make money on this and you can serve people. You can serve the realtor community. You can serve people that are wanting to sell their home, people that want to buy a home.
Yeah.
You can help with all this.
Great service, and you make money doing it. So it's a win-win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you beat that?
Yeah.
So we talk about different scientific principles, the runoff, what's going on, the foaming, the agitation, and what the science behind all this is. In easy to read text, easy to look at, kind of graphics. And I just think it's going to be something that will be very useful to our community. Okay. Part 3 is the chemistry of smoke extraction. So this smoke is incomplete combustion of materials, and it just gets everywhere. So water alone cannot remove cigarette smoke odor. We've got tars, we've got nicotines, so you can't just do this with water. You could if you stood there for like 6 years and just, scrubbed every square inch, but who wants to do that?
Right.
Okay. So surface tension is an obstacle. So here again, we were talking about the chemistry of smoke extraction. So surface tension is a problem. We want to wet the surface well. And I have a little graphic on how surfactants improves wetting, and the products that we use, and I'll tell you specifically what they are in the paper, has excellent surfactant properties, and the stuff works really, really well. And we give you a visual graphic just so that you understand it. And once you get it, you're moving on, and you've got more, like understanding.
Yeah.
We talk about micelle formation. Say, what is that? Got a little graphic on it. It's how the chemistry and the surfactants in solution work to enclose and lift these contaminants up out of the materials. Water's not going to do that. Water is the universal solvent. I mean, water is the best thing, out there, but there's something better for cigarette smoke odor.
Got it.
And that's what we're going to do here. So this is an important topic, and we want you to understand that. We also talk about the difference between spraying a liquid and foaming on the material. When you spray it, it just runs down, right? And that's how we used to do it.
Right.
Because we didn't know any better. And then our franchise put on a course run by Jeff Jones of the Microbial Warrior Academy. And Jeff introduced to us foaming. We were doing biohazard assignments, but he introduced foaming. Well, I looked at that and I go, this is genius. This is great. This will hold the material on the wall.
Yeah, all your chemistry knowledge is coming to bear there.
How come nobody told me this before? So again, the paper, ladies and gentlemen in the audience, it's all figured out. We tell you what to do, what to use, where to get it, how to apply it. There's just no guessing. You can get, like I shared earlier, down the road a long way with this paper, with our book that covers other subjects, with our website that tells you where to get stuff, who to call, how to get it.
That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah. That's our
So again, this is somebody who's new can get this paper and get your training and jump right in and be successful at a cigarette smoke odor job.
You
right
bet.
Away.
They absolutely can. They are going to have to get the proper chemistry and get the proper materials, but you can do that. I mean, I use professional grade industrial sprayers and foamers. They're not cheap. They're not out of this world, but the $30 pump sprayers and pump foamers for the guy starting out, if that's what you've got to use, then that's what you use.
Got it.
The older I get, the more I like, battery operated electrical powered stuff.
Right.
Okay. So, and there's chemistry and science behind the foaming and the dwell time. We encourage mechanical action. And so good chemistry, good dwell time, mechanical action, proper removal after the fact. All of this contributes to having a properly treated home. Okay, now we're going to go into the last part, field application.
Okay.
Now it's like we are now doing it. Okay, health, safety, site assessment, proper PPE. We are using, and we always use, EPA-approved chemistry. Follow the label instructions. Nevertheless, when you're in this for a day, you want proper PPE. You want proper respiration.
Yeah.
You want proper body coverage. You want proper hand coverage. I don't know if there's any IICRC classes that don't emphasize this, and for a good reason.
Yeah.
We use we like using what's called the Max Air helmet system.
Oh yeah. I've seen those. Jeff Jones uses those. Yeah.
He does, and that's actually where we learned it from.
Got it.
And it just works really well, and we endorse that. And you
just have all the proper equipment. Maybe someone would say you're going above what you need to do, but if you're really going to do jobs and be serious about them and do them professionally, you want the right equipment.
You do. And if you're going to do it one time, okay, get the pump sprayer, get the pump foamer, get the full face respirator that gets fogged up. Cheapskate your way through it. And get, kind of brushes and do everything by hand. And yeah, you can do that. But a professional restorer needs proper equipment. You just need it. And we've done it both ways. In the beginning, you can't afford all this stuff. Helmet systems, in round numbers, those are $1,500.
Mm-hmm.
The multi-sprayer that I use, it's like $500 to $600, and I've got multiples of those.
Yeah.
I've got multiple helmets because we've been in business now 10 years and we do all the services and we understand it well. But when you're just starting out, you just can't be laying out cash. So you've got to make up for it with, elbow grease. Okay. The 4 stages of smoke extraction. Okay. We will call the first one contact. So this is where I'm going to put the solution chemistry onto the wall.
Okay.
So
could be foam, not spraying, but mostly foam. Could be foam.
Foaming. Yeah.
Yeah.
Foaming is typically the way that we're going to do it. We will just foam it on. Okay. Then we agitate. Now you can do this by hand with the brush, but we have battery operated systems that are on the website. You can get these at any store. We get ours at Home Depot, I think.
Okay.
And then you agitate. So part 1 is contact, foaming it on. And we don't foam 100% of the wall or 100% of the ceiling. That's too much material.
Oh, I see. By the time okay.
Yeah. So we will foam across it and then we'll agitate every square inch.
Got it.
And that spreads it around and it's thick enough doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll let it dwell. Okay. You got to let it dwell. And we talk about that in the chemistry part. And we talk about why the chemistry is needed in the engineering part.
Yeah.
And we talk about why it's a problem in the problem part. So
let the chemistry do the work, right? Give it time to do the chemical work.
That's correct. That's correct. And with these surfactants, it just lifts out the bad stuff. And that's what we want. You can't splash on TSP and get a scrub brush and everything's, kind of drying up while you're working on it. You're just not going to be successful. But proper process, you're going to be very successful.
Yeah.
So part 1, contact. This is the foaming on. This is applying the chemistry. Part 2, agitate. Part 3, let it dwell. And then part 4, remove it. We remove the contaminant. Jeff Jones taught this extensively. Is we aren't just neutralizing. We are doing that, but we're also removing. And Jeff's a big proponent of that. And Jeff applies it to the world of fentanyl removal. He applies it to the world of blood biohazard. But we, in turn, have applied what we were taught by him into cigarette smoke odor, fire jobs, interior mold, category 3 water losses that affected, other walls and materials. We will use these very processes, contact, agitate, dwell, remove, for a myriad of surfaces.
Got it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I have a section on common mistakes, which was recommended by one of the reviewers. In fact, on this paper, it was made better by the different people who did the reviews on it.
Okay.
And actually, Jeff Jones was one of the reviewers as well.
Okay, good. Yeah.
So
that would be helpful. The common things that go wrong, that would be really helpful if you're new to the business. Yeah.
So anytime before we clean walls, we will do what's called dry clean. So we use a microfiber cloth about yay long and about yay wide, and we put that onto a mop head, and we can run that across the walls and across the ceilings. And you do it in sections, of course, so you don't miss anything. But we always dry clean first, and dry cleaning just gets loose soot, loose contamination, cobwebs, dust and things like that. Then after the dry cleaning, and that's what Jeff taught us that too. And then after that's done, then we apply our foam through the multi-sprayer. And I got a picture of that in the paper. And then after the foaming, then we do the mechanical agitation, and you'll see one of our guys actually using that very tool, and you'll see the foam on the wall, how it, stays on the wall, and we just let it dwell. And then we turn around, and with the same microfiber technology and the same wipes, and we've got a mop head, we have a picture of that in the text as well too. Then it's just wiping in a proper pattern and getting the walls free of all of that.
Yeah.
Of all of the material. So now we're removing it. We are taking it off the surface.
And then you're done.
Now, yeah. And now sometimes people want to repaint. We actually did a cigarette smoke odor job here in the west part of the city, where a lady was, older lady, single, she's a widow, and she was going to be moving to the coast, and she had to get her house sold. And we showed up after another national franchise showed up. The other franchise wanted to set hydroxyl generators all around the property and leave them run for a week. That will not work. That will never work. That will never work in 1,000 years. That is not what you do. The first rule in odor control, and Darren Hudema teaches this, and so does John Otero, is that you've got to remove the source. The first rule in odor control is remove the source. If you've got a bowl of, let's just say, a Limburger cheese, you can think of anything smelly you want in this bowl, but I'll call it Limburger cheese. And I put that in the center of the table in the room, and I'm cleaning walls and I'm spraying stuff, but I've got this bowl of offensive material still in the room. Well,
it's going to continue to smell like Limburger cheese.
It is. And so we're taught to remove the source. And once that's removed, then we go to the cleaning and the processing. Now, in this case, the source is on the walls. Hydroxyl generators treat the airspace. And there's some, I think I've got a pretty good video link on that. Certainly on my website, I've got some videos on the website, and they're real instructive, and it explains what hydroxyl does in the atmosphere. It's known as nature's broom. And it also works on odor, and it pays well too. You get paid well to run hydroxyls, but there's a way to do it. Now, anybody could have walked into that room that's had all these hydroxyls running and say, boy, this here smells great, because the hydroxyl is treating what's in the airspace, but the material is still on the wall. You still got this thick film of tars and nicotines and other combustion byproducts of smoking that are on the wall, and they produce odor. So as it comes off the wall, it's being neutralized or, kind of chemically
temporarily
converted.
It will smell good, right? Temporarily.
But then you pull all your equipment out, and guess what? Here comes the odor again.
Right.
So that's a bad way to go about it. And I told the people that when I saw what the other company wanted to do, I said, that isn't the way to do it. We have to remove the material.
Yeah.
This here doesn't remove it. And I could explain it. And we got the job, and we fixed it, and she got her house sold, and We didn't have to repaint it. We didn't have to refinish the hardwoods. We didn't have to do anything that the realtor thought they had to do to prepare the place for sale. And
that's great.
We got it sold. Yeah. And you also want to talk to the customer too. You want to tell them about the nature of odor and give them proper expectations. And we have some text on that.
Well, you have tons of text. You have lots of detail about how to actually implement this as a new business owner. And this is just the first of a whole set of understanding papers that you're writing. So we're very excited to see that. And again, if they want it, they can just go to the mitigationhandbook.com and fill out a contact form, and then you can send the paper to them, right?
I'll do it.
Fantastic. Well, Bob, thank you. Thanks for taking time. Thanks for explaining that. And we'll see you next week for we'll have a guest on, I think.
Sounds great, David. Yep, we will have our third guest.